Okay, everybody, happy Thursday. I hope everybody's doing great. So, I'm working with the dreams of Gaia again, tarot, and I really love it because they cause me to grow. I'm automatically like meditating on these cards and I'm having to grow, okay? And growth is a good thing. Now, I want to say off the bat, um, another thing I was meditating on when you seem like you're balanced all the time, that may also be an imbalance. All right. Some things warrant emotion. Okay. I wanted to throw that out there. Some things also warrant emotion. All right. So let's look at the cards that I have pulled out today. I have pulled out the Eight of Air. That isn't it wonderful that we get the air card with the major arcana, the thought card? That's the overall energy today. So a lot of intellectual energy, right? The energies that are working for you, the positive energies. I have the Queen of Water with the Eight of Earth. So we got some eights over here, you guys. And over here, for the energies that are working against you, we got the Sage, okay? The Sage with the King of Earth. The King of Earth, all right? And in my advice card, I have the Father with the Four of Earth. So we do have a lot of Earth energy here, okay? We have a lot of Earth energy with air energy, okay? I have one water card out here. But the number 8 may be of significance, okay? So we're going to jump right into that, you guys. Let's get right into this reading. Okay, so for our overall cards, we have the Eight of Swords, and then we have that coupled with the Thought card, okay? The Eight of Swords coupled with the top Thought card. And when we think of the number 8, we're thinking of, strength. We're thinking of the Strength card in the tarot, right? And just having a lot of strength. And I said we do have two eights in our deck today, in our draw today, in our cards today. So, I just have I have the idea that this may be powerful, okay? So I'm thinking, well, let me just get to the cards first, okay? With the Eight of Air, it's all about truth. I got the feeling of like the spirit of truth, okay? The spirit of truth. I'm also getting like the King of Air feeling from here, where he is the truth, all right? Because he kind of has like his own crown on, right? With his third eye open, like I see with, I have all my eyes open. You can't just see with your third eye, and that's what I'm learning if we're talking about balance. You can't just see with your third eye all the time, and you can't just see with your regular vision. You're going to need both to get an accurate picture of what you are dealing with, okay? And he looks like he has his eyes open, okay? And there's just something really defined about his eyes, okay? When you look into his eyes, it's serious, but it's also revealing. Like, do you know that stare that makes you feel naked? That's kind of that stare that I'm getting here. I also get the thought of a double-edged sword, okay? Because you can see that sword going into his own hands. Like the truth hurts both ways. The truth goes both ways. So when you are dealing with truth, if you are a person who's willing to deal with truth, you're going to throw the truth out there. Be willing to get that back, okay? And that's why we learn to get out of our ego. That's why we've learned to get into that universal love. Because when you are throwing out the truth, that's why that there's that Bible verse that talks about when you are pointing your finger at somebody, before you try to take out the I think the stump in somebody's eye to look at the speck in yours, or before you try to take out the speck in somebody's eye, look at the stump in yours. Meaning when you're pointing one hand at somebody, there is 10 more pointing back at you. So when you get into that game, okay, of pointing fingers, there will always be, nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. You're going to have to get out your ego. Okay. And it's interesting that this card comes with, one of the words, it talks about ego, but at the same time, it's talking about truth too. I mean, a lot of times when we're trying to throw out the truth, we want people to see. A lot of times when we're throwing out the truth, we want people to let go of their ego and see the truth that we're seeing. But at the same time, you need to see your own truth when you are talking, that everybody talks from a particular bias. Okay. All right. At the same time, this is coupled with the thought card. This is just like really deep, interesting energy. Okay. And the thought card is it's interesting because they have the fire and then they have the ice too. It's like, to me, it reminds me of the alchemist a little bit. Okay. The alchemist, it could be, the temperance card too. A lot of times, that's why I feel like these cards are very coming from a more mature, like, point of view. One thing I've always noticed about the temperance card, when the temperance card comes up and there's a need for me to balance my emotion, it all begins with thought, right? If I'm really angry, I have to water it down with certain thoughts, okay? Thoughts that balance out my hot headedness or my anger towards that situation, okay? And that's why we're talking about the double edged sword here. A lot of times, the one thing that gets me to cool down the fastest is the thing that gets me to pull down the fastest is to see my fault, okay, or my wronging, or where I have done the same situation, or where in my life I am being the same. That helps me to understand the situation that I am in. Okay. If that makes any sense, I'm talking from a different perspective today. These are really, I feel like, really higher levels of thinking, you know? It's just like when we're talking about truth, when we're looking at the truth in a situation. And it's funny because yesterday I was also talking about having mediators. But when we're looking at the truth in a situation, it hurts both ways. It goes both ways. It digs down, really deep. At the end of the day, if you really get down to the truth, you will learn that nobody's right and nobody is wrong. We just have to learn to accept each other. And I think that's where you learning acceptance plays a big role here. Okay. So for some of you guys, it may be a major theme that we're going through. Um, for a while, I've had long-standing conflicts with, because I'm African American, and with some of the stuff that African Americans are going through, it's not black and white necessarily. It's like a double-edged sword. When they're saying Black Lives Matter, other people are like, all lives matter. And it's a double-edged sword because we're not trying to say your life doesn't matter, but at the same time, we're trying to lift up our life. So it cuts into other people like our lives matter too. So it's not a black and white situation. It's hard. And it kind of, you know, these things are difficult, y'all. These things are very difficult. So I'm gonna just jump into the energies that are working for us today. All right. So going into the positive energies, we have the Queen of Water, okay? And the queen out here, she's loving, she's compassionate, she's empathetic, right? But she's also well versed in the emotional sphere, right? She knows how to control emotions, okay? So she'll give you emotions when you need it, and she'll withdraw them as punishment when needed. Again, this is a woman who's well versed in the realm of emotions and in the psyche realm too. So she's very good with her emotions. This is actually coupled with the success card, the eight. We're talking about strength. So we have the success card. When I said eight is linked to the strength card in tarot. So we're talking about strength overall in the reading today. And we have the success card showing up coupled with the Queen of Waters. The Eight of Earth is all about accomplishment, success, and abundance. We're talking about wealth. She got money, okay? And here's a woman who uses her intuition, but she also manifests very, very well, okay? It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a woman, okay? It doesn't have to be a woman, but we're talking about somebody who has a air earth combo, okay? And they're very balanced, okay? She might use her intuition to also make her money, to also become successful. And I don't think this came easy. It's funny because, you might be looking at somebody going, how did they become successful in this area? But here's the thing, it doesn't come easy. This is a person that not only looks at themselves, but also looks at somebody else. Remember, the overall card we were talking about today was that double-edged sword, that black and white, or that alchemist where you're balanced on both sides. You're not only pointing the finger at others, but you're able to point the finger at yourself. A life, okay, you got to examine your own self. Okay, a life unexamined, right? We all remember that. But you have to be able to examine your own self as well as other people, or else it's not balanced. Okay. If it's not balanced and all you can see is other people's faults, then it's not balanced. You have this high and mighty feel and look about yourself. When you balance it out with your own faults, then you become more compassionate. Then you become more grounded. Okay. That's a more grounded feeling. That's a more, suited type of mentality and thinking. That's a more balanced. Do you know how I was talking about he has his regular eyes open and his third eye open? Looking at things through just your third eye, through just your intuition, is not going to help you get very far in life because you still need to be practical, okay? But using both your regular sight and your intuition is a balanced approach, and that's what brings success, okay? So we're talking about somebody who's been able to create this. This is an energy working for you. So if you take on this energy, you're going to become very successful. Some of you guys have taken on this energy, and therefore it will lead to your success, okay? Therefore, it will lead to your success. Now, let's go on into the negative energy and let's see what's going on in there, okay? So, for the energies working against you, I have the Sage and I have the King of Earth. Now, the sage is somebody who likes to share stories. And sage clears out all the evil energy. And it's interesting that they call the storyteller the sage, the person who has knowledge. They call him the sage because a lot of times when somebody is telling you something or a particular way, it doesn't quite help you as if they told you the story of what they experienced. That's kind of how the Bible has been able to stay around for so long because it just holds a lot of stories. Concepts, understandings are fad. They come in and they go out, right? But the thing about the sage is that because he has knowledge and he also tells stories, he can be a little bit manipulative too. He can manipulate a situation. But 9 times out of 10, he can manipulate the situation for good. You can tell the same story and, shock people or hurt people or say, you can either inspire, shock people, scare people, and it's all the same story depending on what you're saying. Now, with the sage in the negative, I believe there might be a blockage. And the blockage, too, that I'm getting over here is kind of going by the same thing that, the overall energy was talking about. The sage likes to tell stories, likes, to tell the truth, but they themselves don't necessarily like to ever be wrong. Okay? The sage has to always be right. Okay? He cannot take being, a lot of times they say they may be self absorbed. Okay? They can't take or handle being wrong. And that's the negative side of that. Again, it's going by the same energy where, if you're telling the story, allow people to also tell their story. Okay? Tell both sides of the story. Okay? And that's the energy working against you. Another thing that this is coupled, another card that this is coupled with is the King of Earth. And even though the King of Earth is very successful and he's industrious, and he's authoritative, at the very same time, he can also be somebody who wants everybody. Sometimes you have a boss and he's good at telling people what to do, but he's not good at doing things for himself. Okay? I can tell everybody what to do, but I can't necessarily do my own things. And that's where the issue comes in, okay? If you're going to tell people what to do, then you need to be able to also do your own things. Have you ever seen a boss? And a lot of times it's like that. They can tell you what to do, but the boss can't do your job. Now, where you get a real balanced boss is somebody who's able to do the job and able to be a boss. Okay. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to have people who are telling you what to do and they themselves cannot do it. I remember when I was in nursing school, we had an emergency. They threw us in without telling us and gave us emergency scenarios, and we had to react. I wasn't supposed to be the boss. But my natural reaction in that emergency situation was to tell people what to do. And their natural reaction was to follow my instructions. I couldn't react. I could just talk. And they did it. And we're talking about real success and being a real queen and being a balanced empress, okay, here. So it's that talk the talk, walk the walk first, okay? Some people want to tell you how to be successful, but they themselves don't know how to be successful themselves. The best way to show somebody how to be successful is just be successful your damn self. That is a teacher on its own because nobody's going to amount to your success. And the truth is, if somebody did amount to your success, you would be in conflict with them because they're your competition. Everybody's going to take their own path, but they're going to amount to their own goddamn success. So all they need to do is see you being a success, and they will take that and absorb it into their life how they please. That's the best way you can do it. A lot of times, even with parents, they want to tell children how to do this and how to do that. Did you do it? And that's all I'm saying. You first have to become that thing. You first have to do that thing. If you do not do it, then you cannot tell somebody what to do. And the thing with the sage is he could tell the stories, he could talk about the things, but he can't walk the walk. Same thing with the king of earth. The king of, our Capricorns, our Virgos, they are good damn leaders. Okay? They are good darn bosses. But a lot of time your bosses, you go home and you'll see things aren't where they need to be, okay? I'm done talking for the day. Y'all have a wonderful Thursday. Bye, everybody. Okay, now before I actually close out, let me finish out with the advice card. And I almost left the advice card, you guys, but I got the Father And I got the Four of Earth. Okay. The Four of Earth reminds me of Taurus energy. I'm talking about like steady progress, stability, reliability, endurance. Okay. This is that careful, almost like the Knight of Pentacles energy, where you're just going slow and steady, taking one step at the time. And it's coupled with the Father energy. Okay. Um, it's coupled with the Father energy, and it just reminds me of what true authority is, one step at a time. Don't be too hasty to get there. Okay. That's the advice with the, don't be too hasty to lead. Okay. Go slow and steady. And the reason why we're going slow and steady is because you're looking to get the truth. You have to really look at things in the balance. Don't be too quick to judge. All right. And I'm gonna leave it right there with that. Don't be too quick to make decisions, especially when we're talking about when we're talking about balancing things out with your thoughts, and we're talking about the double-edged sword. When I'm talking about pointing fingers and fingers coming back at you, that's why you're not really hasty. It takes some time to really work through a process with wisdom. Okay, it takes some time to work through a process with wisdom. Um, it takes some time to work through a process with wisdom. One story that I wanted to talk about too, which really coincides with this, is a story in the Bible of Jesus and John the Baptist, I believe it was. John the Baptist, who was baptizing. He had been preaching since he was little, yet it led him to get his head be cutted. Um, It led him to get his head cut off. And in the end, Jesus had some comments that were kind of confusing about him, that may have said, it was kind of confusing. Jesus might have said that he might have not made it into heaven. The exact comment was that the least person in heaven is better off than he is at the moment. Okay. And in my mind, who comes after the least person in heaven? That would be the person who's not in heaven at all. Right. And that's what Jesus was saying. And I looked at the preaching style of John the Baptist, and I used to talk about that a lot, where his preaching style was cutthroat. It was cutthroat. He's like, the axe is already there, and if you do not act right, and at the end of the day, he was the one who didn't believe. For somebody who baptized Jesus, proclaimed all these things to him, when he baptized him, he still, in the end, was in disbelief as to whether Jesus was the one who has come or not. And that is just human nature. And for you at the end of the day to be not sure when you're getting ready to die, and, being such a harsh preacher, like, you better make your decision and you better be right fast to other people or you're going to get cut off. You're going to get cut off. And that's kind of, that energy. That's why we're never quick to react. We're slow to react. We're very slow to react. All right. With that said, y'all have a wonderful day now. I almost left that out.